Hello, this is Adam Keene, AgriEdge Specialist in Southeast Iowa for Syngenta. This edition of AgriEdge Insights, I'm actually joined by Zach Trower, Agronomist in Eastern Iowa. This edition, we're going to be talking about the seed treatment options you have at your disposal to protect against SDS in your soybeans. Zach, what can you tell us about the work we've done here?
Thanks, Adam. So as you can see on the screen, we have three pots here. So in the left pot, we have soybeans treated with Cruiser Max Vibrant seed treatment. And with that, there is Saltro seed treatment also on those soybeans. And that is our new SDS solution. In the middle pot, we have we have a base treatment of Cruiser Max Vibrant seed treatment. But instead of Saltro, now we have iLevo seed treatment on those soybeans. And then in the right pot, we have soybeans that are untreated. They do not have a seed treatment on them. So what we're gonna talk about is obviously we're not going to show the SDS, right? We're growing these in sterile potting soil, but what we're going to talk about is the baggage that comes with different seed treatments, and we're going to be able to show that here on these slides. So first off, we can see we have the Cruiser Max Vibrant Saltro soybeans emerging sooner. And that's obviously our first goal, is get those beans out of the ground as soon as possible, especially when we're dealing with cool, wet conditions. We don't want to hamper these soybeans at all. We need to get them out of the ground and growing. As we move to the next slide, we can see again those Cruiser Max Vibrant Saltro beans. We can see even more have emerged. They're looking nice and healthy. But when we look over to the Cruiser Max iLevo, we're starting to actually see a few beans emerge, but they're not as healthy. And that's due to the fact that iLevo is actually causing a chemical burn on those soybeans, or those soybean cotyledons. So it's going to slow up the emergence there, and obviously we can see on the untreated, again, we have a few soybeans emerging over there. Now, when we go to this next picture, we can see the Cruiser Max Vibrant soybeans. They're nice and healthy. They're off to a great start. That's what we love to see with soybeans. But what we can really see now in this picture is, again, that chemical burn, or what a lot of people commonly call the halo effect on those cotyledons from that iLevo. And what that is that iLevo fungicide rapidly moving through that soybean and burning those cotyledons. So it's actually going to set those plants back a little bit. And again, we can see the untreated soybeans here off to the right. They're getting along, but they're still going there. And then finally we can see here between the three pots, everything's starting to even out. When we get towards that unifoliate, maybe even start getting trifoliate starting to pop out in those soybean plants here. So this is kind of that early season stress that we've talked about with iLevo, that burn and what it does early on.
Yeah, Zach, I mean, as I'm looking at these, it looks like those other two have caught up. What am I not seeing here?
Yeah, and that's always been something that we've never talked about, right? Because for 5 years, iLevo was the only SDS solution. But what we don't see is that below ground stress. So when you burn those cotyledons, those soybeans have to grow up instead of growing down. They have to get more green tissue out there to get more energy to keep growing. Well, when they're making that huge effort to grow up, they're not growing down, and that's what we see on this next slide here is the root development. So we have Saltro on the left, a really nice healthy root development on that plant, good above ground health. That's what we're looking for at the end of the day for a soybean plant early in the season. What we see on the right, the iLevo, there's obviously two rates there, but when we go over to the SDS rate, we can see that it's really hampering the root development. And we all know roots mid-season, when we're going through those stressors, those mid-season stresses like drought or even potentially disease, a nice healthy plant is going to be able to take those stresses a lot better than, let's say, a weakened plant that from early in the season.
Boy, that's a good point you make. When I think about my day-to-day travels, I don't think about what's going on below the ground, and I very rarely dig roots. So thanks for pointing that out for me. Zach, how can you summarize all this information you've shared today? What are some things that I need to be looking at in my soybean fields for the next couple months here in the growing season?
Yeah, absolutely. So we all know it starts with a really good, strong base fungicide, insecticide package to obviously protect us from the pythiums, the rhizoctonias, the insects. But SDS is such a visual killer at the end of the season. I mean, that's what really kicked Ilevo off from the start. But obviously with Saltro, what we've done is we've taken away that early season stress with maintaining that SDS protection there. And as we look at this last slide here, I think it really kind of tells the full story. We see those plants on the left, the Saltro plants, they're going to be nice and healthy. They're obviously they're gonna grow quicker. They're gonna have a healthy root system to mitigate all those early and mid-season stresses. And at the end of the day, those soybeans will canopy faster. And when we can get to canopy, that means that we can get good weed control in soybeans as well. That's the name of the game, get to canopy. And we all know weed control in soybeans is hands down one of the toughest things in the Midwest currently, just due to resistance and water hemp's aggressive nature. So I think that's the true benefit we're seeing with this, is just getting rid of that early season stress and letting those plants take off and have a good, healthy start and be able to finish strong through the season.
All really good points. Zach, thanks for joining me today. Folks, that'll wrap it up for this edition of AgriEdge Insights. We hope this information was helpful for you and your operation. And as always, if you have any questions about the information shared today, feel free to reach out to your local Syngenta representative or one of your local resellers. Remember, be safe out there and work to make it a great day. Have a good one.